Welcome to Color Me Psychic. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from Austin, Texas.
Awesome. Welcome from Austin, Texas. What question do you find yourself asking over and over that you want to explore today?
The question that kind of has been running through my mind, or that I kind of keep going back to, is trying to figure out what it is that I want or what it is that makes me happy.
Okay, love it. And when you think about this question of what do you want and what makes me happy, and you're thinking about it, where in your body do you notice a sensation or noise?
I would say that, like, if I, like, while I'm asking or thinking about that question, I feel it mostly in like my chest, heart area kind of thing, like a little badump kind of tingle.
Yeah. Would you
Yeah.
say does it feel heavy? So does it feel like, down, upset, or off, or does it feel like airy, expansive?
Right now, it kinda just feels it's neither airy and expensive or dark or heavy, it's kind of like just like an activation.
Okay, awesome, good awareness. How would you describe that activation? You said tingly, but is there any other kind of description words that you would use to describe it?
It's almost like a beat
Okay.
or a pulse or something.
Awesome. So I want you to take this beat and pulse that's in your chest and your heart area, and then using any color and shape you want, color it out onto a piece of paper. And yeah, just let me know when you're done.
Now that I'm looking at it on your screen, it kinda looks like an abstract drawing of, like, some fantasy land in some fantasy book. Like,
It does, like a
this
map.
would be in the beginning of the book where it's like, "This is the land of Terabithia," and
I love that. It does look like a map.
yeah, or like some kind of, like, an elevation map maybe even.
Mm, 100%. 100%. So this is what you drew. Talk me through how it was drawing it, what you notice about your drawing. Tell me a little bit about it.
So, kind of what I did was I was letting my hand just kind of doodle in terms of I would wander with the pen until like I felt something, and then it's kind of like the way I processed feeling it was like I would do like a little loop as it
Mm,
happened. And then when I started to feel heavy, I changed color because the green is like a neutral color. I'm just thinking about something. But then when it started to feel heavier in my chest, I changed it to the brown to kind of represent like this is a different color because the sensation has changed.
I love that. For the background color, it's kind of like this off white. Did you pick that color, or is that just the color that it was?
I did not pick that.
That's okay. That's
It
great.
just be like that.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. And you were saying how it kind of feels or kind of looks like a map. What other shapes or how else would you describe this?
Kind of reminds me of like a tangle of Christmas lights,
Okay,
but that
yeah,
was unintentional.
yeah. That is okay. That's really funny. Okay.
But it's a lot
Let
of abstract shapes that were created just by allowing like my hand to kind of drift the way it felt like.
Yeah, let's talk about like maps just in general. So, if someone colors like a map, it typically means like a journey. I think for this, it's very aligned with your question of what makes me happy? What do I want to do of like the journey of life? I love that you were talking about like the green being light. That's amazing awareness. Green in the light form has to do with gratitude. So this is like a lot of appreciation for all of your life's experiences and how much they've kind of shaped who you are and who you've become, which is awesome. I love too that it's not like a linear line, that it's like pretty curved and that there are these loops. So lines specifically have to do with thoughts that are setting you free. So it really is just reinforcing that the gratitude is what is helping you kind of figure the stuff out and kind of helping you answer the questions and finding answers that like align with who you are and who you want to become and what you want your life to look like.
Mhm.
For the brown, you said that it was a heavy feeling. So lines in the heavy, for heavy meanings, mean thoughts that are holding you back. Brown has to do with feeling lost. There's a lot of like uncertainty around like a path forward, or it feels like there's this new opportunity and there's just kind of like this little thought of like, what do I do with this uncertainty? Like you have so many options, but it's more of like what do I want, and you kind of stepping into like the a place to where it can feel more certain. What's interesting about this too is that that lost and uncertainty is only just a small portion of like the overall picture. So it's really just your brain trying to tell you to like ground yourself in the gratitude, and like through the gratitude you'll be able to help kind of add more clarity and context and around answering that question. Thoughts, questions?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like the green is almost like more of like the inquisitive side of like really kind of to do like self-reflection or like to kind of, it's like me asking this question is also me like checking in with myself. And maybe that's not something I do all the time. And when it starts to feel heavy is it can be sometimes like either I see it as like it could be intrusive thoughts or it can be like the heaviness of like avoidance of, I don't always check in with myself. And that's why I have what seems to me to be a pretty basic question of like, what makes me happy? What do I want? And so, like, sometimes there's that heaviness of just avoiding it, of avoidance, where it's maybe I'm not sure I'll like the answer, or maybe I'm not sure of what the answer can be. And there's an avoidance or a fear about it, and maybe that's like kind of where the brown comes in. And like it's one of those things where yes, being having those kind of having that heaviness is not wrong, but it's not something I should let be the guiding factor when I'm doing this introspection.
Love that. That was so beautifully articulated.
Like, I wish I could in the drawing, I could show, like, yes, there's a lot of green, but and you don't see as much brown because it comes in later, but the brown is, like, 5 times heavier than the green. So even though
Yeah.
there isn't as much of it, its weight is just so much more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Should have done that in, like, a triple thickness line.
You can go back and add it.
Still.
Yeah, you're like, don't tempt me. A few other thoughts. So lights have to do with guidance. I think for this specifically, it has to do with like how you're guiding yourself and how you're leading yourself. So when you said it reminded you kind of like Christmas lights, I think that's kind of a cool overlay there. Um, the brown too, notice that it's just on the right hand side of the paper. So the right hand side has to do with like our masculinity and like our head, and like our being like overly analytical and just getting like ruminating or fixating on different thoughts, all of the green, you can notice that like the green is over both the left and the right. So it really just shows that like the balance, or to have the balance of like the masculine and the feminine. So the balance of the head and the heart in making decisions like aligned, that are aligned with who you truly are. It really is kind of rooted with like leading yourself, checking in with yourself, um, feeling like the gratitude for the experiences and using them as lessons, and just like as a kind of a path, kind of like a compass to like move forward. Not that it will tell you what to do or where to go, but at least it will kind of give you some clues about what worked, what didn't.
Mm. So it's almost like it gives me a better understanding of how I think,
For
even.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And like having just, I think even having that awareness is good too. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, the rumination, the brown being like rumination and like all of that. Yes. Yes.
Girl, from one overthinker to maybe another. I feel
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Do you want to draw another coloring? Do you feel like that was like complete for you?
Like more introspection.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
ask myself
typically,
again another drawing.
yeah, so ask yourself
Okay.
like the same question of like, what do I want? What makes me happy? And then seeing where that sensation is, like maybe it's moved to a different part of your body. So maybe it
Mhm.
could still be in your chest, maybe it's moved to like a different part, and then coloring out that sensation.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, cool. So when you think about the question again, where does the sensation come up for you in your body?
It's moved down a little bit to like right at the bottom of the rib cage or the rib cage area.
Is it on both sides or one side of your body?
Both sides.
Both sides. And then does it feel heavy or light?
More on the heavy side. It feels strained.
Strain?
Hmm.
Any other words that you would use to describe it?
Like it feels strained and stretched out is kind of like the feeling.
Okay. Then I want you to do the same thing that you did with the first coloring. So take that strained and stretched and just color it out onto your screen. So tell me a little bit about your second drawing. How was drawing this one?
In the beginning, there was like that heaviness, the strain, and that's where like the scribble was like this like dark red, burnt red kind of color where it was like it felt heavy, it was darker, and it just felt like more not frantic, but like it felt like it was like a resounding feeling
Okay.
of like the kind of it was almost like trying to process like not knowing and acknowledging that I didn't know,
Yeah.
and like it then transitioned to kind of feeling a bit of sadness actually. So I changed the color to like this dark blue, and it kind of was like sadness in terms of like acknowledging the previous kind of pounding feeling of not knowing. And it's like, well, it's because of past life experiences that maybe have led me to not always do what's in my best interest and not always know myself, because maybe it would be about like pleasing others and thinking that my self-worth might be tied to others kind of feeling. And so that was more of a like more of a flowing thought, more of a almost like drifting out to sea feeling. But then at some point I just kind of did like a little perspective shift, and I was like, well, let's just focus on things that I know make me happy. And so then it became this light blue, and just like like thinking about the memories of like things where that did bring me joy or made me feel not even feeling happy but feeling at peace or feeling satisfied. And so that was kind of just like the twirls each one was like a different kind of memory that like came to mind that was like a
Oh,
positive thing. And then basking in that, I switched to yellow because it just felt lighter, as I was having these positive memories and thoughts of like just feeling lighter. And it's also like the realization of like, it's not that you don't know, you do have like things that have brought you joy and brought you happiness. I still don't know. It may not be fully like solidified into a certain thoughts or actions, but just like being able to reminisce in them and knowing that like it's kind of overcoming the intrusive thought of like, I don't know myself. I don't know what I want. And being able to say like, well, no, that's not right either. You do have those. It's just that maybe you're not spending enough time in them. And so the yellow and the blue is me spending time in them, if that makes
you
sense.
100%. It is gonna be wild how much the shapes and the colors like will be like a one for one reflection of everything you just said. Like you
Okay.
like it's gonna be cool. We're gonna go there. Uh
Okay.
so let's start with the burnt red, where you started, where you were just like so articulate about what that represented and it being heavy. This specifically has to do with letting other people's drama affect you, and feeling kind of responsible for taking on or alleviating other people's drama. But here's the thing, it's like you're so annoyed that you view that as like helping others. And because you just have like the biggest heart and are so good and like such deeply feeling that you really have like this calming, peaceful, healing energy. And so for you, it's like the greatest service I can do for others is help to alleviate this like stress or this like drama or this burden. But also the inverse of that is like just feeling really annoyed at yourself that you do that. Which leads to the dark blue, and that's where a lot of the sadness you were talking about comes from, is that like your self-worth really is tied into helping other people figure out what they want to do or alleviate their drama and just kind of being a guidance and steady force for them. But like you so like beautifully articulated, is that holding on to other people's stuff is keeping you from these really beautiful experiences and feeling more peace and contentment and satisfaction and being in a space. What's cool about the memories that you have, whatever they were, those were spaces where you felt most aligned to yourself, and that it really felt expansive, like I know what I want more of this, and I can create more of this in my life. And then the yellow has to do with like feeling proud and just like the self-respect. Like it's not necessarily like pride in a bad way. It's more of like I have the self-respect. I know what I'm capable of. I know that I'm a force for good. And I do deeply know myself, but holding on and kind of prioritizing other people's drama or other people's like heaviness is keeping you from truly being fulfilled and aligned with all the goodness.
Oh, yeah. No, that actually makes a lot of sense because like, I've actually had people tell me that, like, I give too much. So, like, that totally aligns with, like, the first part about me, like, almost thinking that and maybe it's also tied to, like, a self-worth where, it's like, well, maybe I don't feel worthy, so I feel self-worth by taking on other people's problems or helping to solve them and like
Mhm.
giving a lot. But it makes me feel sad because it's like if you give so much to others, how much are you saving for yourself? And like that's probably where like the sadness comes in of like sometimes it's also tiring and it's also the realization of like, you know, maybe I'm not doing enough for myself. But then, like, yes, moving to the positive things. And one thing I realized is like all of the thoughts of like what makes me happy, where I was able to find happiness or joy or satisfaction in my life was like, it wasn't when I was helping others. Not saying I'm selfish, but like it was actually more about like moments that I can claim for myself.
That was
And so,
awesome.
like, that's cool. And then, like, for the yellow, yes, it's like kind of that pride, or like, I want to say satisfaction, that peace. Even like the way I drew it, I just felt like I was like a leaf, like that's kind of like going back
Mm,
and forth and like just coming down to land.
I love that. What a cool like metaphor and visual to like tie to that peace and contentment and that like, yeah, pride in connecting with yourself.
Yeah,
Leaves
I don't know what the blue little snail wheels were, but like, yeah. The light blue little snail shell is, I don't know. I can't explain that one.
That's okay. So swirls, that's how much you want something to change, or it just is tied to change. And I think even hearing you talk a little bit more about like what those represent, it just showing you that when you connect with yourself, that's really like the agent for change for you.
Hmm.
So like prioritizing the connection. I think what's really interesting, and I've seen this in a lot of like my clients, especially recently, is people who have like genuine like good hearts and like want to help. It's so counterintuitive, but when they do connect with themselves, that's really when it's like this jet pack or like a jet fuel for their growth and their just peace and sanity and safety and all of that good stuff.
Hmm.
Leaves have to do with growth as well. So even just having the visual of that, and knowing that the yellow has to do with like the pride and contentment and kind of like the self-respect, I think it just reinforces it even more, that being able to connect with yourself and in the way you connect with yourself too, because it's not icky. It really is like very clean and very like fulfilling. It will help you grow.
Hmm.
Yeah. How cool. That was so fun to do with you.
Yeah. It's almost like, I know the initial question is what makes me happy. I don't even have that answered yet, but I think just with going through the drawing and like the coloring, it's become more of like an exercise on like self-care and self-love in a way.
I love that.
And like it's good because these are things that probably deep down I am aware of, and like it probably comes out and expresses itself in like subconscious ways that I wasn't able to recognize, because once again, like sometimes like I would say it's probably because I'm not checking in with myself enough to be able to even make space to find time to acknowledge or realize these things. So like even doing something like this is like, it's like we're going to pause and just focus on ourselves.
I love that. Girl, this feels like a big chapter ahead of you, like a new leaf. And it feels like it's going to be unstoppable when, yeah, when you connect with yourself and you are figuring it out. It's just going to be good. Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Just a reminder, you can teach yourself color mending therapy and get access to the color chart and the common shapes charts by scanning this QR code. And you can also schedule a reading for yourself if you want to be on the show. But we'll see you
Okay.
next time.